Just warming up. Okay. I'm going to do some portraits or something today. Hmm. Hey, good morning, Adam. Thanks for coming in, bud. Nope, I'm going to sneeze. Okay. I'm going to do some portraits. Some, like, skull structure, head structure stuff. Oh. Is the music a little too loud? Yeah, portraits. Yeah. I figured it would be competing with me. Mic check, mic check. Ugh. Drop that third, bottom of the ear, bottom of the nose, bottom of the chin. 1, 2, 3. Thereabouts. Side plane. Eye socket. Nose. Eye socket. Let's do like that. Wing of the nostril. Cheekbone. Chin. Beep. We'll just do the corners of the mouth to kind of indicate that. Let's do like this. Beep. Okay. Basic head structure stuff like that is what I'm going to do for a bit, just to warm my brain up. Front plane of the head, side plane of the head. Boop. It's a little messy in there. Let's get the jaw. Would be right about there. 1, 2. This would be like right at the top of the hairline. 1, 2, 3. Jaw goes right about there. Chin, or rather. It's kind of the cheekbone. Let's get that eye socket in. cheekbone. Rhythm goes down. Let's see if we can get this right. Pretty dramatic. Cuts in and goes down. Cuts back in. That's a little long. Feels like his nose is a bit tighter up on his face. We're going to just go in with this shadow shape. And far side's like over here. And we'll just punch that in right now because it's there. So that's one of the things to do as well. If you have a composition or an image you're working from that has a very strong shadow shape that makes a graphic shape, just drop it in. You know, make the shape as clear as you can and drop it in because it's a 2D shape that helps you navigate other shapes. So that helps me place, like, there's the corner of his mouth. Boop. Corner's like right in line there. And whoops, bottom of the lip. Still shaking things off. I'm like, chin, little cleft. Let's just do like a simple soft edge for the hairline. We can kind of give it some indication as to kind of all over the place today. My mind is jumping from shape to shape still. But that's alright, that's kind of typical for me. Does that feel right? Yeah, that's not bad. Neck. So let's get his hairs like right there. Cuts in. I think this is an AI generated image that I'm drawing from actually, so oh nice. Let's going. I'm just drawing portraits. Gonna warm up. I'll do a Hellboy thing later once I'm like feeling good. I think I'm drawing an AI generated image, which, you know, whatever, but cast shadow from the lid. It rolls into kind of the tear duct area. And then I'm just going to put a simple graphic shape for the eye. Let's see. First we got to get his eyebrows in there. Soft edge right here. It rolls up into this furrow. That's a cool shape. How are you doing this morning, dude? Yeah, let's drop that cheek down a bit. He's got a yeah, I didn't sleep very well last night. I had trouble falling asleep. This is a cool image, though. I mean, even if it is AI generated, it's pretty cool. Sorry about the coughing, but all right. Let's I'm okay. It's like every day is like a little different. Like some days I feel good, and then no, I'm not getting sick. I was already sick. I'm getting over it, and it's just like taking fucking forever to just feel not kind of crummy. But yesterday I was great. I felt awesome like most of the day, but I had a hard time falling asleep. And I feel all right today too. So I just can't gauge whether I'm like I don't feel back to normal yet. If that makes sense. Hmm. I'll just drop all that in shadow. There's really no reason to spell it all out. And his nose has a little halftone here for that furrow that kind of rolls between that and his cheek. Bridge of the nose, probably should put that in. There's a little halftone here. I don't think that there's much more of a need to like sit and spell this out. Like, we can move on to another portrait. And let's fill this other shape in though, just for the sake of completion in the eyes. We should do that. Yeah, that guy's got like a nice intense look. That's very cool. We should fill this in with shadow. Alright. That's fun. So that's for I'm like 80-90% sure that that's the image I'm drawing from is AI generated, but hey, it's a cool image. Okay. Oh, this is kind of interesting. No. Let's just do a front-facing kind of basic structure. Slight tilt to the right. I think we'll go off this and we'll just grab some of the structure from this one. Eyeline. Bump, bump, bump. Bottom of the nose. Bottom of the chin. Bonk, bump, bump. Pretty close. Let's get some big angles for the hairline. Cheekbones are right about there. Goes down into this sort of muzzle of the mouth. Rolls up. So it feels a little long. So we're going to widen that out a bit. Let's find the bottom of the ear. Typically, if it's exactly flat on the bottom of the ear, is pretty in line with the bottom of the nose. We're going to tilt it down a bit, which will move the ears up a tiny bit. So we're going to put the bottom of the ear right there. Sweep through, right there. And the ears are obscured by hair, so we're just going to use a simple graphic shape. Line. There's the shape. Bonk. And we'll have this come down a bit more. Wing of the nostrils are right about there. We can do like a subtle, kind of, not so subtle, just a sphere for the eyes. I'm getting ahead of myself. Hold on. Light's coming from the subtle top left. I'm just casting a shadow. Let's get the corner of the mouth, corner of the mouth. We're just going to do like a simple sweep like that for the upper lid, lip. And I'm going to do a small indentation to show that. Kind of looks goofy, but it's basic head structure, so I'm not super concerned about it. Get the eye socket shape in more clearly. It's supposed to be a shirt, but okay. Halftone. Let's do this. And we're just gonna bump. And this is the bottom lid. Keystone shape in between the eyes is sort of a taper. You could do the top of the nose is almost like that as well. Yes, this is like a simplified head, fundamental kind of front view. Okay. Not terribly exciting, not all that good, but it's a little wide. He's got like a big jaw. Let's cut that in. Okay. Just something like that. Basic head structure page. Let's draw something. One more, maybe two. And then we'll do something more substantial, or I'll spend some more time on it. Yeah, this is a profile. Horns or a scar. Yes, maybe. One more. I'm going to do profile. Oh, yeah, I'll draw whatever I want to draw. Okay. Ear, okay. Mustache kind of goes down. Beard. Yeah, that kind of looks alright. Let's get that ear in. So just kind of like started with the head structure, worked back to the back, up and around, and then I'm just looping through the drawing. Just marking things as I see it and trying to be chill and relaxed and just enjoy drawing. You know, this isn't really a timed thing. Yep, ear, pretty standard, kind of very angular approach, which lends itself to like a masculine face. You do a bunch of angles, be selective with the curves. Let's get the whole shadow pattern mapped in first before I try to start mapping secondary shapes. Because I was about to jump into some of the deeper shadows, and that's not a... You want to get the whole contained shadow shape first, and then you go in and you subdivide the shape. We're going to do that instead. Okay. Let me see if I can make this a little more accessible. You're going for a ride. Ah. Okay. Okay. Interesting thing about this too is that the mustache and the beard are a different local value. And so in terms of value groups, they will be in the same value range as the shadows because they're both dark, right? So when you're drawing something, you might go in from mapping the shadows, like finding the cast shadow shapes and mapping them, and then simultaneously they might be visually grouped with something that is not in shadow but is just dark by nature, and that can be an efficient way of drawing, is moving from dark shape to dark shape, but trying to make sure that you're very clear on what's in shadow and what's in light. Oftentimes when I'm drawing and I make a clear contained shape, I'll just pick a direction and I'll just fill that shape. So I'm just pulling down in a way, just because right now, for whatever reason, that's how my hand wants to make that mark. I don't overthink it too much. Just fill the shape, make the shape, fill the shape. And if you want to redraw it later, or you find something is worth putting that extra energy into, then by all means, just draw it again. All right, let's get that. That's actually pretty close. Let's do that. And we'll kind of mark the outer bound. I'm marking the outer boundaries of the hair with a sort of broken line. And I want to see if that can work as a textural approach. Let's do the same back here. I do like hatching quite a lot. It's just very, very pleasing for me. And again, a lot of times when I like something, it's not necessarily that I always like how it looks, but I like how it feels while I'm doing it. And that makes the process more enjoyable, which means I can engage more with the image. And so a lot of art is about, yes, obviously it needs to look good. You want to design shapes and work and make something that at the end of the day looks pleasing, but that typically comes from enjoying the mark making. So you got to find a methodology or a way of making the marks or the strokes that just feels good. and everybody's got their own. Each medium has its own language or way that it wants to make shapes, or it kind of needs to based off of how it flows or how it works. And there's crossover in the fundamentals, but each one's different, so you have to experiment and find your kind of style, which will come from just how you make shape decisions and how you navigate through an image. A lot of mine is very linear, very calligraphy kind of oriented right now, because I'm just doing a lot of pencil drawing and ink drawing as well. Just at least in the last few months I've done some Sharpie stuff and filling a big area of dark with just a linear inking, like a pen or a Sharpie, is just tedious, and so I use like the flat end of the Sharpie. And I don't exactly know where those are. I think they're over here, actually. Let me grab them, because I need to break these out, actually, for later. Let's see if I can find them. Here's one. These are drawings from sculptures. I was just kind of doing them on the break. But here's an example. Sharpie, right? So I do a little line drawing in graphite. I'm feeling pretty good. The reality of sitting down and drawing every day has nothing to do with the rest of life, right? So like, I'll have a great drawing day, but then like I have to like go do basic life things and I forget about stuff, but I'm feeling good about drawing and what I'm doing, what I'm working on. So that's good. That's kind of all I care about anyway, so. He's got. Yeah, I really enjoyed the Sharpie as a. Anyway, the point of all of that was to show you that like filling in big graphic shapes with just a tiny little hatching line work would just take forever. So using a fat Sharpie, like the chisel tip ones, to fill it in faster is a more efficient way of using it, right? But then you could also just use a brush and fill it in with a wash of ink, and then pen over that if you wanted to. Or people use watercolor and ink all the time because ink staining is water based. So there's all kind. This is art. It's like you can do whatever you want, and it's dealer's choice. What was I doing? I think I was on this guy's mustache. Yeah, so I'm just blown away by some of these AI images too, just in terms of like, I don't know if this one is actually AI because the mark making feels very, it just feels more intentional, but it could be. And if it is, then hey, that's whoever's got this thing set up has like a really interesting hand-drawn kind of approach or filter. We're gonna do like swoop and whoop, something like that. Let's just get the beard in and really hammer down like an outer line. How long have I spent on this thing? I don't know. Okay, so we have like a clear beard shape, hair, and do I want to glaze this in or do I want to just leave it as is? I think I'm going to just punch up the outer contour here and then just be done with this. And this actually should roll a bit more. Just to kind of put that back in space. So it's really beefing it up. And we'll kind of do like a bump, bump, bump statement. And let's weight this outer edge there. And we'll kind of do this and we'll do that. Okay. Do I sign it? Sure. Why not? Okay. So that's fun. Let's get on some Hellboy shit. Huh? Oh, I really like this one. Let me find the artist and Ben Oliver. I'll put that in the chat. And he's got a I don't know if I could. How do I show something? I'll just copy. And this is the image, if anybody cares to look that up. Really cool shape, super punchy, graphic, lit on the left and the right. Just a badass looking thing, and very simple graphic shapes too. I enjoy it a lot. I've had this image pinned in my like comic books page for a while, but I don't think I've seen anything else of his stuff. So we're just gonna do. I'm gonna do a little shape analysis. This may or may not be the final drawing, but might put it over here. So I think we can put ponytail or whatever you want to call it, this sort of top knot, but it's on the back. Oops. Right there. Big mass of the head. Then it kind of cuts down and goes into this taper, this sort of curve with his beard. There's a plane kind of change. It cuts in. This is the center line. So it could be like right there. Something like that. This curves up. So that's like the gesture of his hair, right? And I think I cut that in, so I need to like sweep that over. And his brow is like super prominent. This feels like it needs to be a little over. The ear is very tiny, right? It doesn't break the silhouette much of his head, which is a really cool. Like same thing with his nose. Like just makes his mouth and his jaw and his horns so prominent when his ear is tiny and his nose is sort of like tucked in, and yeah, just a really cool aggressive shape. Normally you think tiny nose, tiny ear, or like kind of cartoony, but this works pretty well, for me at least. Let's see. I think his horn does come way out on the left side. It comes out way past everything. It comes out beyond his beard, and if you draw a vertical line from the horn up, it's well beyond everything else. And so I'm going to put that left limit is the horn on his portrait, so that's going to go over there. The right limit would be his hair. We got a nice, like, let's mark the top of his ear and the bottom of his ear, and yeah, it splits the brow. If I draw a horizontal plumb line across from the bottom of the ear, it's like just above where his nose is. So we could do this, and then we could go over and say, okay, mark the bottom of the nose. It's probably like right about there. Mouth line is kind of like here, but it's sort of got like a down tilt because his whole head is sort of slightly tilted like that. Like this one comes up a bit. I'm going to just draw a line right there just to mark that brow. Get that in, mark that. Just use a line. Even though these are technically like ellipses in space on the horns, like there's an ellipse right here, I could put that in for sure. That's fine. You can just mark things with straight lines. You could do hard edges, and that's a little off, but I don't mind it. Let's mark that space here. I'm going to use angles because that seems to kind of mimic what he did. You know, he didn't really draw an ellipse for this close horn that's coming towards us. He just did a bunch of facets, which is, you know, again, it's an angular interpretation of something, so it's works perfectly. There is a subtle cast shadow from the horn. I might use that to navigate as well, so I'll do this and that. And then I'm going to mark, I'm just in a vertical line mode all of a sudden, so I'm just going to do that. I'm going to mark the far side of his nose right there. Other side of his nose. That feels a little low, like his nose needs to be tighter up. We'll figure that out in a second. I'm going to get his big brow in. Contain that shape. So we're drawing. Making shapes. See that? Look at that. Either the horn is too big, or I didn't get his head stretched out far enough, because this space is not nearly enough for the back of his head. And you can see that. So he got crowded. So I think it's a combination of the horn's a little too large, it's a little too far to the right, and I could push this out a little bit more. And so we'll have to make that edit. If I was in Photoshop, I would just lasso tool, grab it, drag it over, and adjust it that way, but we'll just do it this way, move it over. And if this is the far side of the horn, we can mark that. And then this is like his hairline. That feels better. Line here goes down to the mutton chops, basically. Dude, his face is so, this like scarring thing in here, I just noticed that. I've been looking at the simple forms. They're really cool. Like just this gnarly, badass Hellboy. Let's get an envelope for the ear. And that does, there's a small negative space that he put in between the hair, and so I can push that a bit. Push that. So just let it grow organically over to the right. should make sure I'm following Ben on Instagram, because this is pretty cool. It cuts in. And so yeah, that kind of confirms that the bottom of the nose was just it's a little too low. And it curls up like that. So it's a little, yeah, it's tighter in there. That feels better. Curve. And then a drop into the philtrum, I think it's called. The center crease underneath the nose before the top lip. And then he's got everything in this really interesting graphic shape. This kind of juxtaposition of little puzzle shapes. I'm not quite there yet. There's still big angles I need to address. But I can contain those shapes and use them to navigate. So he's got... Whew. Got some super cool stuff going on there. Let's get this in. He's got a little lip there, whatever that is. Boom. Carves down. Is that enough space, or is that too much space? Looks like too much. And checking the angle from the corner of the nose to the corner of the mouth, and just kind of right about here is where that sort of round crease is for the mouth. His lower lip is like big and thin, like it's like tucked in, so it kind of comes out and down. So if you're drawing a surface contour, that is cool. Up and over and ba ba da ba and bing bam boom. And we can trim this up a bit. That's a good, that little center line's good for the, he's such an interesting shape for the beard too. Neck kind of comes out like a curve. It's a little out too far. There we go. That's better. It's very Mike Mignola. The guy's neck is just like a tapered tube. Okay, so if that's there, we've got this mutton chop. Let's bring this over a bit, and whoop. So that's a good silhouette. It's beginning to take shape. This feels a little crowded, so we're going to do that. Really cool edge work too. And let's do that. He's got that line. And let's loop back around. Come over to the other side. And I'm just going to do this, just to contain it. Okay, I mean, so I think I'm going to sharpen. No, I'm going to use this, actually, this other pencil. It's a little tighter. And instead of erasing, I'm going to just move my hand over it and just lightly kind of bring everything out. Like this just moves some of the charcoal, loosens it up, and lightens it up. And then we're going to go in and I'm going to start drawing some of these tighter shapes, especially right here on the left side of his face. Well, do we need to do that yet? Should I set a value first? I don't think it'd matter that much. Yeah, I'm going to set a value first. Beefing up some of the lines a little bit more to just clarify them, and then I'm going to punch in the hair, because that is the hair in his shirt are the darkest darks that I can see, and that will help as the drawing develops. That helps set your low constraint, and then you can build out your medium values. And because we're drawing on paper and we're not painting, I have to preserve the highlight shapes by not filling them in. And so you have to treat the highlights almost like negative shapes on the page. Anyway, what was I doing? Shit. Alright. Okay, that contains that a little bit. Do I want to... Let's do something a little bit clearer here. Just mark that, because I haven't really done that yet. This is an awesome painting. It feels pretty good. Okay. I'm getting excited because the setup is almost done. And then there's a tendency to like get to the fun part, which is like when it starts coming together. But we ain't there yet, so let's do like just a tiny little indication of the eye, and we'll kind of do that again just to I can't see that on the other side. So you can see I sort of knocked it back, and then I pulled some of the other shapes out a bit. And okay, we're getting there. Okay, what are we doing? Hair. All right, let's do it. We've got that. I kind of want to do like an up curve on that for some reason. Contain that shape. Boom, boom. And he's got them separated. I'm going to merge them. Hey, Ponce, what's up, dude? Welcome in, buddy. Good to have you in here. I don't think I'll be streaming past this drawing. I might. I gotta get back to the commission, and then I have some inking stuff that I need to do for the end of January, but happy Thursday. So because I'm filling in the hair, I'm also just, by nature of what part I'm working on, I'm just working on the ear because it's right there. And there's a logic to the image that you got to just move through. And I'm glad I did this part, because now I kind of feel like that's a good way to tackle this. Let's just fill it in. Let's just get a good, simple graphic shape with the side. And then we can maybe break it up with the eraser afterwards. This isn't quite laying down how I'd like it to. I'm going to let that side blow out because there is a highlight there and I don't want to give it such a harsh shape containment on the right side. Even though there's he creates an imaginary a separation or a line there. There's a slight amount of red on that left or that right side of the highlight, but then the real edge is held by the background, which is a different color, and I'm not trying to be that specific right now. Okay. We can just do like a simple shape like that. And we'll try to, whoops, that was something I did not want to have happen. But what do? We'll just mask it by doing that, and we'll blast in. This is kind of a fuzzy, unclear area, so I'm just trying to get the nature of the direction of the hair. And as with most things, it's going to require coming back to it, clarifying certain shapes and areas, and there's a hard edge right here. I think we'll keep that. And there's a little bit of negative space right there. And then I'm going to move that line down. Soft shadow underneath the chin. There's a good directional kind of movement there. And a little bit of a harder edge right there. Okay, I'm going to lock this shape down. And center line, and then this is like the other side of his muzzle. Yeah, that looks okay. And I'm going to leave that. We're going to just do bump, 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 bump. Okay. Something like that. Same thing I was doing up here. I just pick a direction that moves with the flow of the hair and fill the shape. And I feel like there's a room in here for maybe like a small halftone kind of situation there. Okay, we're going to map some of these darker shapes. This goes all the way up. Bump, bump. My foot's falling asleep. Let's find that. It looks like that's the highlight. This is the shadow, so I'm just going to fill that in, because I'm having a hard time navigating with it being just line. Okay. And clean up that sliver that's on the basically the top of his lip there. And this curls up, and we'll go bump back in. That's a pretty cool image, man. I like this one a lot. It's very, very cool. It looks pretty dark, so we're going to fill that in. And then this is all half tone, meaning it's not full dark. Got to make sure we preserve the highlights on the nose. Otherwise I'm going to get crowded in there. So let's back that off a bit. It's a little clunky. But I'm not upset about how it looks. It's okay. Kind of chose to do like a softer edge there. And we got a pretty clear shadow as the lip curls in to itself. There's a plane change there, plane change here. You can kind of do like a little bit of a roll there. Let's get the... see, this is interesting. I think I got the beard a little too low or the lips too high. Yeah, so what's kind of happening is it's moving on me. Let's do this for the cylinder. That feels like that makes sense. We'll kind of beef up that bottom line and let it go, and then crank that over, and then fill this in. Get that highlight back. We lost it. I overshot that. Okay. I'm going to do this. So that feels much more solid as it moves up. Let that go. Light line, and then grounding it again. So breaking it, letting the top go, because the top edge should be lighter than the bottom edge, which is in shadow and darker. It's a way to use line weight to kind of add weight to the object. Similar thing here. Bottom is heavier and weighted, top is lighter. Let's see if I can pull this off. Just that kind of a thing. Trying to get the movement of the pencil stroke to mirror the horn plane. Thanks, Ponce. I'm enjoying this image a lot. Yeah, I don't know if you were in the chat earlier, but the reference I'm drawing from is Ben Oliver on Instagram, and I've had this image in my Pinterest for a while, and I've just wanted to do something with it. Feeling like the nose could be a little beefier there, and these need some halftones here. I'm going to use linear indications for halftones. I'm not going to try to render them. I'm just going to use calligraphy to indicate this stuff. It's a little more inking kind of. I do that a lot. Just this patchwork of short strokes that are like staccato kind of. I don't know if that makes sense, but whatever. We could probably do like that, and then fade that out. And I'm going to break this up. Okay, and then the bottom edge of that form shadow creates a hard edge. Soft on top, hard on bottom, because we are top lit. Or left side lit, depending. Well, both. It's like top and left, right, honestly. He's just surrounded by light sources. Well, let's get into let's do this. This is like a lower stakes area that could be more interpretive. Because I don't have to try to copy each thing. I can just get some of these like scarring kind of situation going on. There's a little bit of halftone here, so I'm getting a little bit into form modeling, which is not, it's fine. You just get to it when you get to it, but I should probably pull that like that. And this whole thing actually could be in shadow. And do like a little thing there. Okay. I don't know if I like that exactly, but this also needs to be significantly darker to once I get through this middle section, the actual like kind of interesting stuff, and then I go back in and I bring all of the hair up to that, it'll be nice. I'll have a good lower value limit. Rolling up that form. There's faster ways to do this. I could just do this, right? I just, faster, again, back to what I was talking about yesterday. Faster is great if you're in a production setting. But there is something to be said about I just like calligraphy and the movement of line, and that takes a little longer. It's not as quick to indicate form as just doing this. That gets form faster, but I like the that little stuff is fun. So a combination of both is fine too, right? This all conveys form, so. Missed some of this bottom plane or bottom section of the nose. There's a small little line there that I want, as it really is important to show the structure of where the light's coming from, and okay, back to this sort of jowl, kind of scarred area. There's kind of a plane change here. Hair needs to be moved over a bit. And okay, so I'm just lightly modeling some of the form. This doesn't feel like hair in here quite as much as I've got. Blur some of that. I don't want to go too crazy with the scarring. Let's punch that in. This edge is a lot softer than I have it. Alright, let's get into the meat and potatoes of the eye. Bottom lid, there's like a nice little taper, and this all goes to much darker shadow. That's kind of cool. Come on. Let's go. Yep. Alright. It's got a bit of a comic book. Obviously, it's got a bit of a comic book vibe. That's definitely what he was going for. So, makes sense. Let's fill that in. I kind of want to go this way and just roll the whole thing in. And let's do this. Yeah, it's got a nice feel. We're not quite there yet. And let's so just basically just curving over the forms, right? I'm seeing the forms and I'm latching onto them, and I'm just moving my mark with how I see the form moving. So it's called contouring. You call it contour form modeling is what I would call it. This is not a bad interpretation of Hellboy. It's kind of fun. My drawing, not his. His is pretty kick-ass. I don't mind how it's going. Okay. So, I did a two-tone map. I filled this dark area in with just simple strokes. And now it's too light, right? Because I've gone through and I beefed everything up over here. So what I want to do really for me right now is I'm going to fill this background in with a value that's pretty close to that. And then I'm going to go back into the hair and I'm going to do another pass on the hair. Let's do vertical. It feels more natural to my hand right now. So now we're reducing the contrast of the hair by injecting something in the middle values that is now competing with the value of the hair, which lowers its contrast, and then the eye no longer looks at the hair as intensely as it did. And so we've framed up that, and let's do a little bit of just big value statements here, because his face, this and this should not be the same value because he's red. So we're going to just do a little bit more value fill. You could do this really early on. I didn't, just because, whatever. Doesn't really matter when you do it. You just got to do it. And there's a highlight on the top, so we'll leave that be. Then I'll go across and just do a soft kind of fill here. This is a little darker. And We'll do that. But this, we're just going to do kind of a fill there. And that could be darker. Let's punch this in a little bit more. Set up this dark shape of the hair by powering back in its contour. Boop. And we'll do this a little bit there. Okay, let's lock this hair shape down. I'm going to do a little shadow underneath the ear of the hair. Oh, the ear needs to be filled in. That's like sticking out now that it's like super light because I filled in other stuff. There we go. And let's do a soft kind of gradient up there. And we'll do another one from down here, modeling the whole basic form while we fill in and kill that white of the paper. But we're not doing a hatching thing. We're trying to get it to be a soft transition. So I'm using the side of it. I don't want the hatching to be super noticeable. I'm going to fill the eye in a little bit. Okay. So that's kind of where we're at right now. And I think the next step is to do what I said before, which is to punch the hair in. Get that dark shape. Yeah, we could do something like this. Changing the angle of the, let's do that, and then we're going to have to try to contain some of this to leave a highlight there, or I could try to pick the highlight out. I'm going to do this. I'm just going to like blot a little area, and then I'm going to draw around it. Yeah, I don't know. Stay focused here. Hold on. Oh, the really sharp shapes are on the inside, so they're kind of like this. It needs to be much darker. So let's go. I don't mind that. That's kind of fun. I'm going to not look at it for a few seconds. and then see what sticks out when I look back at it. Yep, so this all needs to be pushed back or down in value. And we can punch this up, increase the contrast there. Let's give it a hard line, fill that in like we know what we're doing. Whoop. All right, and there's a hard edge right there. There's a sort of form edge on his neck that kind of rolls like that a little bit. I kind of exaggerated that a bit, but that's okay. And fill this bad boy in. And then we're going to kick this all back a little bit more. And I might even fill that in. Thanks. I'm enjoying this drawing. It's very fun. So that hair is a little bit more in the realm of what I was looking for. This all needs to be not shitty. So we're gonna do like that. And just kind of not sure how to interpret that. No, that ain't it. Think let's dial into the ear for a second and just get that to work. This is kind of halftone, rolls up. Okay, let's just do like a slight indication for some of these subforms. And we'll just contain the highlight shape and then just like taper a gradient out away from it. And then this, I kind of botched that. I could have just left that be, but this is what erasers are for. I just like to not, if you can, just not use the eraser to pull out a highlight shape and just preserve it as you draw around it. Typically looks cleaner, and I like that look, but you know, it ain't always going to happen. So, and I don't like that I have that line that's merging them. I want the highlights to kind of I don't like that I have the line that is separating them. I would like the highlights to visually group together a bit more. So I'm going to try to downplay that a little bit. Okay. Whoop. Let me just assess for a second. Bottom of the close horn should be a little darker. This forms are rolling okay. The highlight over here is still like really not cutting it. Let's get a powerful shape in there. And try to not fuck it up. That's the game. Don't fuck it up. It doesn't really read as a highlight. I'm not sure. I'm just not happy about that. I don't know. I don't know why. I just don't like it. The way he's done it is just more interesting. And I don't think I can get back to white like I would need to with just an eraser. I would need like to paint on it or something. It's not terrible. It's just not quite as impactful as his image. I mean, that's helping like pulling darker hatch marks to contain that shape it's not bad. That's I'm okay with it now that I did a little bit more shape clarification on it. What else? His chin is like right here, so I'm gonna put a little bit of a line there just to set that up, and then we can. Oh, now it looks like he's. Well, no, that's actually pretty accurate to the character. He does have like a little thin spot there. Okay, and let's go back into this. It's a little cutout looking, and I think that's because this needs to be softer and just sort of pull out. There we go. And now we got to punch these shadows back in, because right now this feels like it turns more than this does, and that doesn't make sense with the light sources, so these shadows need to be darker. And this eye can be very dark. And then middle value. Let's get that in. That's pretty important. Needed that overlap for sure. And this is like much lower, this curve. Super tiny little details, but they make a difference in the character, so. I'm getting to my limit with this image. I'm feeling the energy kind of wane a bit in engaging with it, and that's a pretty good sign that I don't have a ton more that I really care to do on it. Yeah, we can. Doesn't really have a highlight on the nose because it's overpowered by the other one. Hey, I think I'm done with this. One more thing. We did say to do that, so let's crank that up a bit. And soften that, and then this whole area actually rolls up, but stays like kind of in shadow because of the cast shadow. Does that read? Yeah, kinda. And then this is a little softer. So just softening the shadow of the brow quite a bit, and then I'm gonna fill this in because this is a lot darker than what I've got. Yeah, that makes it a little more dramatic. And let's trim this up, add a little bit of that. We could do something like that. I don't hate it, and I'm okay with it. So, hey, there you go. That's that. I'm gonna grab a sharp pencil. What was the name of the artist? It was Ben Oliver. Okay. There you go. That's kind of fun. It's going to take a few seconds to review some bad figure drawings from yesterday. And there's that guy. That was kind of fun. What did I do? I think I just did, well, only 2 pages. Yeah, so 3 little structural kind of head drawings from photos. And then I did another one, and then Mr. Hellboy. So, thanks, bro. So that was fun. I enjoyed that. What are we at? Probably almost, 2 hours coming up on it. That was kind of what I expected. So right about at noon. I'm going to try to do these at 9 instead of 10. I started at 10, so I'd be able to get like another page in, or at least something else. But yeah, 3 hours is probably my limit. Then I got to take a break and eat something and move or do something else. So, all right. Dude, thank you guys, whoever came in and watched. I appreciate that a lot. Yeah. It's great to just hang out and draw with people. So,